What's up, guys? X2Rabbit2X here, back with some Minecraft modding made easy. And today we're going to be making mobs. So this is going to be fun. But, yeah. The tutorials from now on are going to be a lot less frequent. Just because it's kind of hard to figure them out. I mean, just for this one, I took about 5 or 6 hours trying to figure it out. At one point, I had like 100 cows and chickens spawning all over the place. It was weird, so yeah. Also remember, I try to explain everything I can, so that takes a lot of time looking up where everything is and where everything fits. So let's go ahead and start our mob. So in our modblockium.java, we're going to go ahead and make another comment block for a monster. Now, what we're going to do, you actually need two things for a monster. You need to register it, and then you need to add it to add the spawn, like add it to the spawn list of the world. So let's go ahead and type modloader.register entity ID. Now it requires a class. Now you're not gonna have this right now, but I already do because I already pre-made my my entity. But just type in entity. For me, it's Blockium monster, and then do not forget this. I know people are gonna have errors. It has to be .class. Do not forget that .class because you're going to be getting errors. Now, you have not made this entity class yet, so don't worry about it. If you get it red underlined, we're going to get to that later. Now, the S is a string of what you want your monster to be called. I don't think this matters, but it's the same thing as like the set item name and set block name. I'm sure it matters somewhere. Now, the I is the ID of the entity. Now, since we don't know the other entities' IDs, we don't want to overlap. So Modloader has a nifty little method. That's that gets a unique entity ID. So it pretty much checks which ID is not taken and puts it in there. So that's pretty cool. So now that we have that, we registered the entity, so the world I don't know, sees it now. Remember, if you get this red underline, don't worry about it right now. We're going to get to it later. So next is modloader.addSpawn, and this will add the entity into the world. Now what we're going to do is actually a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parameter. So it's going to be this one right here. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, we're going to do the top one. So let's go add spawn. So entity block monster dot class. Don't forget the dot class. Now the second one is it has 3 number parameters, 3 integer parameters. Now we can go ahead and look into biomegenbase.java. Let's go look in here, and this is where all the entities are spawned in the world. So let's look at this. These are the three number parameters that you want to go at. Now, these two are something like the maximum and minimum from a chunk, and this is, I think, like the maximum loaded at one point. So since the chunk is only 16 by 16, and you can see farther than 16 by 16, this is how many you can see in total. And this is how many, I mean, this is the minimum or maximum per chunk. So, let's go ahead and, I want to make my mob really visible. So, let's go ahead and make it something really, really crazy. Let's go to modblockium. So the first parameter is how many you can see, I think. Like, don't take my word for this, but I think that's it. So let's set this to 100. Because I want to, I want to see this mob when I encounter it. Now the next one is minimum per chunk. Let's go to 10, and the maximum, I don't know, let's go 16. And the last parameter is the enum creature type. So let's go. Wait, I'm gonna close out of biogen base because we already went over this one. Because I have a lot of stuff up here. Now what? Yeah, the next one is enum creature type. So let's go ahead and just type in enum creature type dot, and if we look at an enum creature type, there's 3 different types that we can make, I guess you can say. There's a monster, and these are just IDs 1, 0, 1, 2. This is where the instance of the class is. This is how many can there be maximum per chunk, I think, or per loaded. So when we put 100, all 100 are not going to spawn. All 100 of our monsters are not going to spawn. It's just more likely that they're going to spawn than other mobs. So monsters, I think there can be 70 per chunk or 70 loaded, which kind of makes sense because creatures are like animals, since they come from entity animal, and creatures can only be on the top, like on the top layer, I guess you could say. They can only spawn unless you make them spawn underground with grass and lighting, but that, yeah, whatever. So they're going to be 15 per chunk or loaded, I still don't know, animals, which makes sense because they're only on the top layer. And then there can be 70 monsters, so like creepers, skeletons, zombies, can be 70 of them because they can spawn underground in various different levels. So that's that. Water creatures are squids. You can make a water creature if you want. They don't have much attributes to them. I mean, you can make some kind of a deadly water animal, I guess. Now, next one is material.air. That means what can it spawn in? Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, what can it spawn in? If there's air available and there's like certain blocks, whatever, 2 blocks high or 3 blocks high, a monster could spawn there. Same with a creature. And water, it has to spawn inside of water, material.water. Now you see, like, this is it right here. This is pretty much creature class. So class is this one. Oops. String S would be, it's not even in here. J and J, max number of creatures. So yeah, I think that's like max loaded. Material is what we passed in, and this peaceful creature is the flag variable, and we passed that in, and that's the last one. So is our monsters peaceful? No, false. Are creatures and water animals peaceful? True and true. So yeah. You can make a different, like, you don't have to, I think, modify this class. I'm not sure if there's a Modloader class for that. If you want to add your own, creature type and make like a water monster or something like that, that's doable, but you'd probably have to modify this class. So now that we went over the monster creature and water creature, we can go ahead and exit out of this one too. And here we see enum creature type. We didn't finish it. So we can do water creature if we want, like this, water creature, but I'm not going to do that. We could do normal creature, but I'm not going to do that either. Let's go and make a monster. I want to make a deadly mob. Let's see, block monster, blockium monster. Alright, again, you're probably going to have this, yeah, you are going to have this red underline because you did not create this class just yet. So now that we have our registers and spawns here, let's go ahead and get out of our mod underscore constructor, past our generate surface constructor, and past our generate surface method, and let's make a new method in here, which would be public void add renderer, and then just put map. Now what this does, it pretty much adds the texture, it adds the model itself into the world. So that's pretty much the explanation. Just adds the model itself into the world. So like it would add, for a zombie, it would add like the form and the height and whatever, like the look of a zombie. So for ours, let's just go, I'm not going to go into models much, and I'm not going to go into rendering much. So you're going to put your class again, which you're going to have underlined. Now you're going to do a new render biped, which is like the default class of two-legged monster, I guess you could say. Your Steve avatar is a biped. Zombies are bipeds. Creepers, I think there's something modified with them because they have weird arms, and stuff like that. I'm not going to go into renders, I'm not going to go into models, but you can mess around with that if you want and create new models and renders for different shapes of animals and creatures and whatnot, but I'm not going to go into that. And also, I heard that there's a program called Techni that actually you can model a creature or a monster inside of Techni, and it'll pretty much spit out the model code for you, so you don't have to do any of that. We can actually look into this. Let's go model biped. Here it is. I have it up. So this is pretty much what it looks like, and you have to like give it coordinates, and you have to like pretty much shape the whole creature. And if you want to mess around with this, feel free. I mean, but it's there's a lot of trial and error if you don't know what you're doing. So I showed you this. I don't know why I had this up, but that's good. So now we know that we're gonna new render biped. We're gonna another parenthesis, and we're gonna do a new model biped. And then 0.5f. I think that's just the size. Let's go look at render biped. Float f model biped main. This model biped f. Yeah, I think that's just the. I think that's the width, or that might be the. I don't know. Model biped f. Okay, it does not help me at all. So where's this super render living? Okay, I don't feel like looking for it, but just put in, if you want a zombie looking thing, if you want a normal biped, just put in 0.5f. I think that's something with the model. And we can go ahead and, oops, no, we're missing a parenthesis. You can end that, and now we have the model itself inside of the class. I mean, inside of the world. So right now we're pretty much done with Modloader. We can go ahead and save. Now there's only one more thing left to do, and let me actually drag this in here. Entity Blockium monster. Now I know I already put some code in here. We're gonna go over everything, so don't worry about that. Now, since we created a monster, where is it? Where is this monster? Since we created a monster, it pretty much has to be a mob. Now mobs are hostile creatures, so if we go into entity mob right here, this is like the base class of a hostile creature. If we click on entity zombie, it extends entity mob because it's just how it is. Now, if you went ahead and created a creature instead of a monster, let's look into entity animal. It's like, I guess, the equivalent, or entity creature. No, wait, let me entity mob. What does this extend? Entity creature. Okay, yeah. So entity animal is the entity mob equivalent for creatures. So like peaceful mobs and animals. Now, this is where you're going to go. This is where all your methods are. So if you're making a creature, make sure instead of putting on top extends entity mob, make sure to put entity animal. But we're not going to do an animal right now. So, okay.